listeners, Harika here, and I'm super excited to welcome you to UppTalk. If you're ready to learn and get your hands work wonders in the world of information technology, then you're in the right place. When I say UppTalk, we are not just another edtech company. Consider we are your learning partner committed to unlocking your full potential. Whether you're stepping into the world of technology for the first time or looking to advance your career, we provide top-tier, hands-on courses to build up your career. Let's take our first step towards learning here and explore it.
We are going to discuss, this 4 calculated fields. This will also be used, widely in the system. I mean, not widely. Measure you're going to use. This many calculated fields. But this is also good for your knowledge. The first calculated field, which I'm going to discuss this lookup value as update. Lookup value as of date. This lookup value as update means, if I show you. Basically in Workday, whenever we do transactions as in whenever you apply employee, apply leaves, or employee gets promoted. Employee changes the contacts any transaction. Whenever employee is making any transaction in his or her profile, then those transactions will be reported here in the worker history. When any transaction is created, there are two things. One is transaction initiation time and second is transaction completion time. And there is one more thing, effective date. These are the three things. Basically, the transaction initiation time is basically when the transaction initiated. And when the initiated transaction is completed, that is transaction completed time. And then you have one field, effective date. Effective date, the date from which transaction becomes applicable. Let's say you are employee of the company, your appraisal cycle or the promotion cycle is in September. You have got communication from your manager, like you will get promoted effective 1st of September. Basically, in this case, when that transaction will be entered. For example, let's say today is 19th of June. If your promotion is getting loaded in Workday on 19th of June, on 9th of June, let's say 6 p.m. At this time, transaction is initiated effective 1st of September 2024. You will not be able to see this transaction in your profile, but the transaction has already been initiated. But that transaction will become effective from 1st of September 2024. On 1st of September 2024, you will be able to see that transaction in your profile and you will get promoted. Your profile, your designation, everything will be changed. Here now, let's say you got hired in the company on 1st of June 2020. And then now today is 19th of June 2024. Let's say you want to get that data on a particular time. If you want to get the data on a particular time, that is something you will be able to achieve via lookup value as of date. This lookup value as of date means you give the source field in a whatever value you want to extract. You just give that field. For example here, if I say base pay, let's say base pay. Let's say total base pay. Yes, the total base payment. If you want to say, let's say you got hired in 1st of June 2020, 24. If you want to see, what was my salary on 1st of June 2022. If you want to see, what was your salary on the hire date. If you want to see what was your salary in the August 2023. I mean, here I'm just taking the reference of the salary, but you can pick any. Any field. Whatever field. If you want to get the value of that field on one particular day, then you will be using this lookup value as of date calculated field. Here let's say, I want to know what was my, what was the salary on my hire date. Here you can just mention, hire date, whatever date whatever date you want to mention, hire date, or if you want to build one particular date, let's say you are building one date of your 1st of August 2023. You can just put that date also here. And this calculated value will return the total base pay amount, whatever was on that particular date. There are two effect, two date fields here which you can configure. One is, there are three fields here in this calculated field. One is a source field. In source field, basically you will give a value. You know of the field and you know from which you want the value. For example, if you want hire date, if you want total base pay, if you want gender, if you want takeoff, if you want age, if you whatever values you want, you will give the field name here. Then you think whether you want the value of that field on effective date or on the entry date. Here, if you see, that's why I was explaining, transaction initiation time, transaction completion time, and effective date. If you want, see here in this example I showed you, worker is getting terminated with effective date of 1st September 2024. In this one, there are two date and time. The one day and time is 19 June 6 p.m. PST. This time is basically the time on which this transaction has been initiated. And then you have another field, date, which is 1st September 2024. This is the date Only this transaction will become effective. Here in the effective date, you can, mention, the transfer date or promotion date of 1st September 2024. This calculated field will give the value as of that effective date. As of that effective date. Also, you can, instead of effective date, you can go with the entry date. Let's say, you don't want to see, what exactly will be salary on 1st of September 2024. You don't want to go with the effective date. You want to go with the entry date. Basically, you check the worker profile, and you saw, some transaction has been initiated at this time. You want to view the salary of the worker on that particular time. Here you can basically enter the initiated entry date and time as well. Generally, you're going to use effective date, not the entry date. But in case if you need to use entry date, you can use entry date as well. This is what is lookup value as of date. Any question here? No, Ganesh. This is what is lookup value as of date. You can create a few calculated fields here. Like you just try to get the salary on one particular date. It's a higher date, or let's say any effective date, or if you want to build one date and you want to get the salary on that particular date, you can use that date field as well. You can create this calculated field and test via report, and you can check what value it is returning. This is one calculated field which I wanted to discuss. The another calculated field which I wanted to discuss is concatenate. I think concatenate. You have already worked on. If you need to join to a string values. If you want to join to a string values, you will be able to do that using concatenate calculated field. Here goes the contact first name plus 5 plus last name on worker. Worker business object. Then just go with concat. Here in this calculated field. Basically, you can add multiple values, multiple field values, or if you want to, just hard code. Some values, not hard code values as in, like, if you want to put string, some sort of string. Just create a field takes constant, which will contain, that string value, and you will be able to concatenate. For example, let's say the name is Ravi. Omar, this is the first name. This is the last name. What you want to do is you want to know something like this, probably comma Omar. Here in this case, what you can do is you use the first name, fill air first name, then you need comma. See whether you have comma, if you have any calculated field or any double field which hold this value comma. If there is no value if there is no file which stores the value of comma, then you can create a global calculated field. And you can create a comma of your own. Basically, let's say, there is no calculated field, which there is no calculated field or any field which is holding the value comma. In that case, what you can do is you can simply just click on this, click on create calculated field. I'll just mention comma on global. See, always, you don't need to create, takes constant global business object, but the comma or something which can be used widely anywhere in the system. That is something you need to create on global. Here takes constant. Just mention comma. Click. Now this text constant has been created, and here, if you can see, the first name and the second value, which will be called concatenated as comma. And then the third value, you can mention the last name. This is how you are going to concatenate, multiple string values. If you have already, fields in Workday, you can just use direct those fields. If you want to concatenate any space, this string or any specific characters, you need to create one in a global calculated field, and you can use that calculated field. It's not like, always let's say, concatenate. So here in the name I just mentioned in a 5, but here I use comma anything. Let's say, you created one calculated field and then you had to use comma. You did not find any field which is holding that value. You created one calculated bill, global calculated, which is holding the value of comma. Now let's say, and after 10 days, you've got one requirement to create a calculated bill again. And they are also, you will need one from us. It's not like, every time you're getting a new calculated field, new global field for comma. If the field exists, then you should be using that field only. Instead of creating a new one for these kinds of strings, always remember, you need to check whether the value is existing or not. If not, then you can create your own calculator. This is how we know concatenate calculated bill works. Anybody is having any question? I think you already tried on the very first day. This concatenate calculated. Now, what is now the other calculated bill? Which I want to show you is build it. Did we discuss bill yet before? Now, the next function which we will discuss is bill date. Let's say CF bill date 0, 1 month from hire date, and year from month from hire date, and a year from date of birth on work. Let's say you need to create one date. Two kinds of dates. You may get to create if there is one static date. Like 1 at 2024. You will be able to build that data as well. And if there is one dynamic date, for example, there are some rules to create that date for each and every employee. Then you will be able to. You will be using bill yet. Let me show you how that works. Click. Here whatever you want to build with a date, or a date time June, you will be able to do that. Basically now, if we need to create a bill, see here for a year, for a month, for a day, everywhere you will be able to see 3 options. The one option is none of the above, and everything. That is something you're not going to use, anyways. The second option, the first option here for everything, for every field, we have a specific year, specific month, specific date. Now let's say you want to build a date where you want to hard for the month at June. the month as 6. If you want, to hard for the month as 6, you can just check this specific month. Click on the specific month, enter whatever month you want. Let's say 6. Let's say 6. You can hard code that. This is kind of hard coding. If the value which you are looking for doesn't exist, then you need to create one global calculator. And for if you use any field, then in those cases you cannot, just check this option specific month there. You would need to use extract month from the date field. There also you will be able to use. If you create any global calculator, you will be able to use it. Now let's say there is another option in each and in this free fields extract year from date. Fill extract month from date. Fill extract date from date. Let's say you already have one date field in the system and you want to extract year from that date field. For example, hire date of birth. You could have any continuous service, did company service, did time of service date. There could be many dates. Now, if you want to build one date where you want to use the month value from the hire date and the year value from the date of birth, basically you are building one date that date is dependent on other fields as well. In this case, hire date and date of birth. Here in this calculated field, what I'm trying to build is I want to give day as 01 and the month I want to extract from hire date. And then here I want extract from date of birth. Let's say how exactly we will do. The first is I want the first day, 1st of Jan, 1st of June, 1st of something like that. Here, I know like this is specific. I don't need to extract from anywhere else. This is a direct value I am having. For this direct value, you can just opt to this option specific date. And here you just mentioned one. Your date has been defined. Now your day has been defined. Now the second thing, the month I want month should come from hire date. Hire date is another field which is existing in Workday system. I am going to extract month from this hire date. In this case, what you can do is you just select extract one from date field, another date field. And here you just mention the field from which you want to extract month. Let's say hire date. Hire date. Now you are extracting month from hire date. Now month is sorted. You can pick that month. You can pick that date. Now let us come to the year. Whatever we want to configure in a year. For a year. Here, if you see, I want to get the year from the date of birth field. Date of birth. Here again, like month, we are going to select extract year from date field, and the date field here is date of birth. Here we will just mention date of birth. Date of birth. Now this field has been created, and always you check this return blank date on either. For example, let's say someone has not updated date of birth. And this calculated will try to extract here from the date of birth. In those cases, this calculated will generate either, which we don't want to show to any business. Always in those cases, you need to check return blank date on either that they don't get any, errors and see if they get a blank value, which is still justified. This is how you are going to build, static date or your dynamic date in the system. Any question here? Ganesh, one question. Here we select the date of birth, right? Usually, date of birth will be a day, month, and year. In that case, here it will show all three values, right? Not just a year. No. When you see here, if you see this is a directing extract year from the date build. Even though let's say it's 1st of July 1994, for example. 1st of July 1994. In that one, 1st of July, this will not extract. This will only extract year from date of birth. And for month from higher date, it will not extract, day and year. It will only extract month from higher date. Got any other question? This is how you are going to build a date. If you need to use, other fields, whether it's a calculated fail or it's a delivered fail. If you need to use those fields in your calculated bill, this is how you're going to use. Click. Your calculated field is ready. Whatever I'm just, explaining the three calculated fields which I explained. I mean, you just try these fields by yourself and you're just trying to test in the report. If you face any issues, just let me. This is done. Now the last one, which I want to show you guys is, we discuss about the evaluate expression where, there are multiple conditions and based on condition, the calculated field is returning value. In evaluate expression, you can define multiple conditions. And in those multiple conditions during execution, the first condition will be checked. If that condition gets satisfied, then the corresponding value will return the value. Similarly, there will be many other conditions in evaluate expression. If first condition is satisfied, it won't check for another condition. But for example, let's say first condition is not satisfied. Then it will go for another condition. And if another condition is not getting satisfied, it will go for again another condition. It will be like if else, if else, if then else, if then else. The way we generally do coding in normal language. If else kind of thing. That is something you learned in the evaluate expression. Now we have another, calculated field function, evaluate expression brand. In evaluate expression brand, here in the evaluate expression band, what do you need to do is you can, create conditions. you can create conditions, like you can write expressions, and here you can directly mention the values. Basically, in evaluate expression, what was happening? You were building conditions here. You were building conditions here. You were finding some loopholes, calculated field, or if there are any work get delivered. Calculated fields. You were using those. Here, in evaluate expression, you were using fields. In evaluate expression band also, you're going to use the fields on for condition. But here in the second part, return value, if the condition is true, here you can simply hard code. Let's say, I just want to mention Ganesh. I don't need any field and all. In evaluate expression, you had to define field for here as well. Like whatever you want to return, you had to put one field. Basically, let's say if worker is active, in that case, if you want to get hired, here in the condition you were defining one conditional calculated field, whether a worker is active or not. And here in the second part, you were defining the value which needs the field value business to be returned. If you need hire date, then you are giving hire data. I did. In this evaluate expression, basically, you can hard code things. You can write things. Here in the return, you don't need anything here in the default value. Also, you don't need to do anything. If you type higher, it won't give any option. Basically, you can just type whatever strings you want. This is another calculated. Let's say you need to, based on condition, you need to pull some kind of coding. If the country is Australia, then you need to pull a US. If the country is India, you need to pull IND. If the country is Korea, you need to pull or if the country is US, you need to pull USA. And the default is, the fault is in it. In this case, you can just directly, create this calculated field. Here you can create multiple conditions. Like if the country is India, if the country is Australia, and then you can just direct mention the values If the country is Australia, what value you want to return? If the country is India, what value you want to return? If the country is USA, what value you want to return? This is something you can create using evaluate expression band. In evaluate expression, you had a lot of things. You're there. You had to define the data type of the field then the business object. And then you had to configure field for each and every condition. And again, you had to use the field for a field for here where the value is getting returned. The field from which you want to return the value. That's what you had to configure. But here, in this case, you don't need to do all those things. You can simply define the default value, whatever string or number you want to put here. You can just test the condition whether the country is India, the countries of Australia. You can just create multiple conditions. You can simply, hard for the string, which you want to display over speed in the report. This is a difference between evaluate expression and evaluate expression band. If you remember evaluate expression and when you see this evaluate expression band, can you just tell me what are all the things you were able to see in the evaluate expression? Can anyone field type and a business object and the default value? And here we don't have those many things. We have just default value. There in default value, if you type anything, will you be able to use in evaluate expression. Let's say in default value, if you're typing, hello world, will you be able to use that? Hello world. Here you can use, this is the difference. I mean, you need to create two calculated fields, evaluate expression and evaluate expression band. Just create those two calculated fields. And tomorrow you just tell me what are the differences between evaluate expression CF and evaluate expression band CFs. This will be your activity again. I think before evaluation expression, we did an evaluation condition. Which we applied on the evaluation expression, right? Those conditions. So come again. Before evaluation expression, we created calculated fields for the evaluation conditions. You can do it. I didn't create, sorry. My voice is going on. 1 second. I was asking Corona. I'm just muting you. Basically, yes. I mean, definitely you know when you will create either evaluate expression or evaluate expression band. Calculated field. Then you know you need to use conditional calculated. If you have bills already ready, you can use those conditional bills. If not, then you need to create conditions. That will be true. First calculated. In evaluation expression band, we are not creating any conditions. That is the difference I see. Is that right? Here also. Let me show you. Let's say I'm just opening. Save to calculated field. This is your evaluation. I'm just cloning another tab. See here, the evaluate expression. This is your evaluate expression calculated field. In the evaluate expression calculated bill, if you see there is very light business object default value. These three fields are there. When you select the data type, for example date, when you select a date, then it asks for some default value. You cannot hard code any date values. Basically, you have to enter some field which is holding some date value. If you will, select, for example, text. In this also, basically, you will not be able to type anything. You have to select one field which is holding that text value. This is evaluate expression here. When you will start building the condition, then here also you need to build condition whether 1 is equal to 2 or 2 is equal to 3. Whatever condition you need to, use calculated field, or if there is already any, true false, calculated to false field delivered by what day you can use. For example, there is one field had to active status dominated. For this field, we have delivered true, false field. You can use, but what I'm trying to say Here is in condition you have to use any field, whether it's a calculated field or a delivered field. If you go to evaluate expression band here also, you know in condition you have to select one field. You cannot simply just mention 1 is equal to 2. That is something you won't be able to do. Here also you can use the condition, same condition, whatever you have used here in the evaluate expression. Now here in the evaluate expression, what you will be able to see is this return value if condition is true. They don't value if condition is true. Here you will not be able to type anything. Let's say if you want to print hello world, you won't be able to type that thing and just directly save. It will search for the field. Here you need to use field which is holding the value hello world. In evaluate expression, you can simply just type hello world and it won't ask for any field and all. If you click, it won't ask, it will simply say here it won't save. Here you can say here is another condition. It won't save because this is expecting the value from some field, whether it's a calculated field or the delivered. This is a difference. Adding default value. The first difference is the opinion in evaluate expression. You will be having multiple options. You can select field type. You will be having up in a business object. You will be having default value. I different from the field here. In the evaluate expression band, you will be having default value field where you can just simply, hard, put the values whatever you want to print. You don't need to create any field. The fields will not be referred here in the evaluate expression band. The second is the condition part will be same for evaluate expression and for evaluate expression band. Now the third part is the return value. The condition is true. In evaluate expression, you need to refer to any field which will return the value. You cannot just hard code. Whereas in evaluate expression band, you will be able to hard code one value. You don't need to refer any field for the values. Is this clear or any further confusion you are having? No, I'm clear. That is what I understood actually. Probably I didn't put it in the right way. When I click on that three dots for actions in evaluate expression, it's showing me only calculated field and edit. But when I click on evaluate expression band, it's give me a calculated field. In that it's saving view all reference users. And there is one more option, calculated field for, and then I can able to do that. Edit text, edit one. Why is the difference between both of them? Let's try. In evaluate expression, basically, let's say default is NA and the condition is active. Let's try that. Active status. For active status, I just want to print hello world. When we try to edit that entire calculated field, I'm just opening. This is your evaluate expression. You're saying in the evaluate and evaluate expression, you're getting different field. We already have different option for editing. Not here, Ganesh. No, I'm just opening one, evaluate calculated field, which I already created. there are two calculated fields. This is evaluate expression. This is evaluate expression band. You are saying when you are clicking on this evaluate expression band, then here you are getting what is similar. But I don't know because it should not change this on, calculated field function. It should not change. I don't know why. Maybe you just try once more. Might be that my system is not refreshed. Might. I'm getting because of the anybody is very slow. That could be uncertain. I'll see that. I'll see that. I mean, if again, this is just let me know. You can take. Cool. Now, I think you know. That is super slow. Now, I think when I've covered almost all the calculated field, which you should know, you can do the practice. Whatever assignments has been given, I'll just try to get some more assignments. I am having some assignments. I'll just try to give just give you that. You can try to finish if there's an issue. We can discuss that. This is all about the calculated fields. Now the next part, which we are going to discuss is if you have any question on calculated, you can ask now. Otherwise, I am going to start something new today. I need some information related to audit trails. One gone. That I'm not able to understand that. If you want to see your screen and discuss, I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, if you want me to open, I can open that and show you. What exactly you did not understand in? You gave a check audit trail and note down the timestamps and user for all the changes. That question is in activity, right? Which one? Let's see what is this. I mean, it's a good thing you are, because that is not relevant to only calculated field. That will be relevant to any object in the system. For example, let's say, this one is calculated. This one is calculated. Now I want to check the audit. Who exactly has modified this calculated field? Who has created when this calculated field was created? Who created this calculate field once this calculated field was created? If anyone has many kind of changes in this calculated field, I want those kind of information. What you can do is you can just click on this triple dot. We call this related action in one day. You can just click on this related action. Just go to audit. Click on view audit. I'm just opening this view audit in a new tab. When you will click on view audit, it will ask for the from moment to moment. Basically, this will ask you from when to when you want to get the audit. Let's say I just want to get the audit from 1st of Jan 2020. I want to get everything out of the 1st of Jan 2020 to today's date. I want to see whatever has happened on this calculated field. Then you simply just keep the starting start moment and the end moment. And what it will do is it will extract all the log. It will extract the log data. When exactly this field was created, who created, when this field was changed, what was changed, who made changes. Everything you will be able to see. Here if I click on, I see there are just 8 items basically. Now this field was created on 5, 23, 20, 24, 23rd of May. This field was created. And this field was created by this idea that this is what you know. I was everything. I just wanted you guys to be across. Like, if you want to get an audit of any object, how can you get that? It's simple. If you have any object, you just go to the related action, go to audit, and view audit in audit. You just give the start moment in moment, and you will be able to see when that transaction was entered, what exactly transaction was entered, who entered that transaction. Everything is a generating or not specific to any calculated. Thank you. Any other question? You are able to understand this audit right now, right? Whatever you can. Gradually, you get used to this. Why? I know gave this as an assignment. The thing is like when you will, let's say you join any company and there you are working in AMS for the C. You are not you. You are not an implementation partner certified resource. Basically, nobody will give you implementation project until you get certified. But let's say you joined any AMS project. You can get as a B project or support project. Whenever you join in those kind of projects, sometimes you need to create a new thing. Sometimes you need to modify existing things. Sometimes what will happen, like, someone will come and say, like, this was working, 2 days back, but now this is not working fine. This is giving me incorrect result and all those things. There, this audit will help you to understand who exactly has made the changes, why that person has made changes. They here. If you see, there will be one comment as well. I'm not sure. By user here, it just mentioned. I mean, in some of the auditors, you will be able to see some comments as well. There, they will mention the ticket ID of the service, not ticket reference. You can just open that reference and you will understand why that changes has been made. And then you can do the neat things. That's why this is mandatory to understand. That means like a work log kind of thing. Who work on that? In your bank transaction, whenever you do that, to any kind of connection, it maintains history. Right. There are also enough for each and every object. What they maintain history. Thank you. It's clear, right? Any other question on calculated fields or anything related to calculated field which you did not understand? It could be anything. It could be, basic things. You can ask anything. This is just a learning session. You can ask whatever you want to. No worries. We are almost on time, but I'm just starting the new topic today. I mean, I'll just take another 10 to 15 minutes and then we will continue tomorrow. The next topic we are having is now you understood the reports, you understood the custom, calculated fields. Now it's time to understand the terminologies which we are going to learn in the integration architecture and tools. These chapters will let you know the integration architecture we have in Workday, the tools we have in Workday, the options we have in Workday by which we are going to create integrations. The first thing, I'm not going with the integration thing. I'm going to start with some of the terminologies. The first thing, web services. You might have heard web services everywhere now. Now this web service is a very popular thing. I think everywhere web services are being used. Earlier, what was happening? If you see, 10 years back, or 7 years back or 15 years back, whenever two systems were talking to each other, they were sharing files every day. They were batch processes every day. Integration was running, generating files. Then batch was scheduled. That batch was delivering files from one system to another system. Then another system is also having one schedule. Then that integration will run on that schedule. Then it will consume. It was a very lengthy process. But to send data from one system to another system, it was very lengthy process. Now you know what is happening in the real world. Each and every system, each and every product which is newly developed, they are offering web services. Web services are, you can say, one medium to communicate between two systems. For example, we have Workday, and then another we have Power BI or Excel. If you want to get data in Power BI from Workday, you can use, you can sum. You can use a Workday delivered web services. Workday offers many public web services. You can just use that web services, configure the connectivity, and you will be able to get the data directly from Workday. This is how easy now it is. System is working. Earlier it was, very lengthy thing. I mean, a lot of you know. I remember I was working in, PeopleSoft once. And there what we were doing is, we were building one interface and in PeopleSoft, and there were many other systems. There that file has to be sent and consumed. When we were building, then we were configuring some delivery things. PeopleSoft was sending details on the server. Then there was batch. There was a big team of batch. There were almost 10 to 15 people in the batch team. And those team was just looking, just monitoring, whether this system has delivered file or not. If this system has delivered file, then run this batch. The next step is renaming the file name that was happening in the batch. Many people were engaged together. And renaming the files, delivering the files, then making sure whether the file is getting delivered on the or not. Server maintenance, all those things they were doing. And then there was another system, like PeopleSoft, which was consuming that file. It was very lengthy process. Nowadays nobody wants to do that. That includes a lot of cost, a lot of resources, a lot of people. Now nobody wants to do that. Basically, now whatever new products are being built, they are offering some web services. In web services, you will be having request message and response message. Request message and response message. Request messages, something like this basically involved in this Workday. You can see all the employee details are stored. If you want to see the look and magnalities, you will be able to see Logan McNeil. It's looking at me. You can see any worker details, basically. Now using web services, if you want to get the details of Logan McNeil, then you need to put some instructions right. Like I want to see the details of Logan McNeil. I want to see all the worker details of Logan McNeil, whether it's a personal data, organization data, job data, whatever data you want to see. You want to get, you want to get all those data for Logan McNeil. In the request message, what we generally do is we generally create a request. A request in the sense, I just want data for Logan McNeil. We specify things. I just want to detect the changes between these two time frames. That is what we can figure in the request message. I'm not going to show right now how exactly request message looks like. But I'll show you in upcoming sessions. How request message looks like, how response message looks like. Basically, we have one web services where you can just pass one request message. When you pass that request message and hit the web service, it used to generate the response. For example, in the request message, you are saying you want personal details of employee ID. Azure 103, which is Logan Minnair, for example. Logan name. If you want to get the personal details of employee, ID this one. This is something you are passing as a request message. And in the response message, what you will get is employee ID, name, date of birth, gender, contact details, whatever you want. Basically, in the response message, web service is giving this. The purpose of web service is to get the request, process in Workday, and response whatever the request message has come. If the request message is saying extract employee details, if you extract personal details of employee this one, the response message will be all the personal details of that particular employee. This is how web services works. In Workday, all the data is stored in objects. In Workday, all the data is stored in objects. And to extract data, to communicate data, Workday offers multiple web services. For example, GetWorker. GetWorker is a web service which will give you GetWork as a web service operation which will give you worker details, any worker details. Then you have change work, information change work on sorry work, contact change, work contact change. The work contact change web services is used to change your contact number, your email address. There are many web services. You can also explore here. If you go to Workday Public Web Services, then here you will be able to see multiple web services. These are all the web services which is offered by Workday. Now, if you go to Human Resources, you will see multiple web services operations. Change benefits, change legal name, change personal photo, change personal information. Any system can make changes in the workplace. For example, there is one Power BI or there is another system based on Java. If that system wants to update the contact number of any person involved, they know that person that system will be able to do that using these web services. We can allow that system to update end of data involved using these web services. Basically, at a high level, we know web service allows a user or system, and the service to communicate over the web. Basically, the internet, when you are talking, when you are going to see right now, when you are installing any apps in your app, or when you are trying to access, for example, Facebook or any other URLs on the Google Chrome, that is actually a web services. You are passing some requests. And when you are passing that request, that web service is responding to you. If you are searching the google.com, when you are hitting, then it is giving you some response. It will give you one Google page where you can just type something. You can, press enter. You will be able to find the result of that thing. This is how we know web services work. This is just one term in a web services. Web services will be used to communicate between two systems over internet. If you want to know if nation, the definition will be the web service allows a user or system to communicate over internet. Let me just mention that allows. Or system to communicate over the web. Web means internet. This is web services. Now, if in here, if you want to explore more about the public web services, whatever Workday is offering. If you want to explore the request message, and all what you can do is you can simply in Google Chrome, you can just search for Workday public web services. That will give you one community link. That will give you one community like this area. You will be able to see all the web services. You just go to the human resources. This is one of the web service. You just go to human resources. And in this web services is offering many web service operations. For example, assigning establishment, change additional names, change government ideas, change other ideas, change licenses. Like this, there is one web service, a get worker. If you will see, there will be one web service operation, get worker. See this get worker. You just go and click on this get worker. Here you will be able to see the request, the response, how exactly this looks like, how exactly this response look like. You can explore if you want to. If I click on this XML, this is how it not request message look like. Here you give the instructions, like I want to get the details of this employee specifically. If you want those kind of instructions to for web services, you're going to design in this request message. If you want to understand how exactly this response look like, you can click on this XML, get worker response XML. Just click on this. It will show you how exactly response will look like. This is how response will look like. We know at this point of time, don't get scared. Looking into this kind of things, it's not a scary thing. It will become very easy once you start using this thing. It's just like, too many things you see here. Brackets, the comments. Then VSVC column. This one of them is the very earliest to understand this thing. But gradually you will understand all this. Anybody is having idea on web services. This is how we know the web services, request message and response message looks like. Then the another thing is integration systems. Integration systems, let me open that. The another term is integration system. Integration systems actually allow to extract data from Workday or insert data into Workday. This will allow you to insert retrieve data in. Integration systems are the interfaces. These are the integrations which will allow you to insert or retrieve data in from Workday. If you want to update any data in the Workday, you will see the first option is web service. That's fine. But there's often a lot of web service from which you can extract data, you can insert data. Then we have another thing is integration system. This is a customized integration. This is something we are going to build the web services. We are not building. We are just using, what they have already built. And we are just using those web services. Integration systems are the systems which we will be building in the system, and we will build to just do some specific purpose. For example, if you want to update, contact details, if you want to get up in all the worker details in a file, in those cases, we will build integration systems. These are the real-time integration which you're going to build. This can be between, Workday to any other system or from any other system to Workday. Let's say if you want to send data from Workday to Concur, you want to send all the worker details from Workday to Concur. You are going to create one integration system which will extract all the worker details and deliver files to Concur. Later, Concur will just consume that file. This is integration system. If you want to see integrate, how integration system looks like in Workday, you can just go. You can type here prefix int sys int. And if you want to see, you can just, enter int or any other integration name. Int is a very common thing which we use for integration. Initially int 1, int 2, something like that. Int is generally, each and every company is using. If you want to see, these are all the integration systems. This is the integration system. Then this is a PG integration system. There is a core connector integration system. There could be many integration systems. There are many types of integration system. But if you want to search any integration system in the Workday, you can use int sys the integration name. The integration name. If you don't know the integration name, you can just type. You can just type any keyword which will refer to that integration. You may get. This is the integration system. All these are the integration systems. Now the next thing is integration systems are of two types. We understand the integration system which is used to insert data in Workday and which is used to retrieve data from Workday. Now, when we talk about insert and retrieve, there are two kinds of integration system. The one is inbound. The other is outbound. Inbound integration system means the source system is some other system, but the target system will be Workday. Target system will be Workday. Basically, we are getting data from any other system. Here I'm just mentioning other. For inbound integration system, mainly we get data from other systems. We get data from other systems. For example, if you have Workday ADP or Bunker, if you want to get the payslip details from ADP to Workday. But that will be inbound integration. That integration system will get data from ADP and load into Workday. The one example is, payslips. If you want to get the payslip from ADP into Workday, there you will be inbound integration. The source system will be ADP. The target system will be Workday. And you will just use, the source system data. And you will load that the data in the target system Workday using the inbound integration system. The another type is outbound integration system. In outbound integration system, Basically, the source will be Workday. The target system will be other. For example, you need to send employee details to ADP. You need to send employee details to, Concur. Then you will create one outbound integration system. That outbound integration system will retrieve data from Workday and will deliver file to whatever system is waiting. Whatever system is asking for that file. That is something you will configure. Are you clear with the inbound or bound? There are other things we are going to use quietly. There are many other terminologies which we will be talking. I'm stopping today till here. Tomorrow again, we will start with the integration terminologies. Once all the integration terminologies we will cover, then we will talk about the actual integration. We will start building the integrations. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel. For more information, contact us sales@uptalk.com.